Good morning, everyone. I'm Kendall Rainey. I'm the athletic director here at UVA Wise, and it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the 2024 Athletic Hall of Fame Induction and Homecoming 2024. We'll have a full day of activities, as you guys are fully aware, celebrating our Cavaliers of the past and present, and we're really thankful for all of you guys being able to be here today and celebrate this Hall of Fame class with us. Unfortunately, you'll notice that Scotty Vermillion's unable to be with us this morning. His daughter is actually having his first grandchild this morning, so he found that out yesterday, and unfortunately they're not able to be here, but congratulations to Scotty and his family on that. So we will recognize him today, continue to recognize him today, but we will also bring him to campus for a basketball game later in the winter to celebrate Scotty's induction. So I'm super proud to kick off the day with some good company. What is sure to be some really good stories, and honoring some of the best athletes, coaches, and people in the history of Highland Cavalier athletics. So I've got a few housekeeping items for you guys before we get started. After the ceremony, everyone's welcome to eat in the alumni picnic tent. It's a white tent in the parking lot of the Pryor Center when you head out to the left. If you need a ticket to the football game, see me or Kristen Salyer afterward, and we'll give you a ticket. And remember that all inductees will be recognized on the field pregame and serve as honorary captains for the Highland Cavalier football team today. Kickoff is at 2 o'clock. So this event has become really one of my favorites in my current role here at the college, when we get to have alums and current athletes and faculty and staff and coaches from all generations and folks from the broader community here, celebrating and reminiscing, and it makes for really memorable moments. And I think it illustrates that no matter what era we're from, we have that common Highland Cavalier spirit that connects us to each other and to this place. The Hall of Fame committee has selected an incredible group of leaders and champions for the 2024 class. Today we're going to read and hear about wins, the points, the records, the touchdowns, the championships, and all of the excellence that these 4 inductees brought to Clinch Valley College and UVA Wise. The archives tell us the stats and the scores, but the number of lives touched by these individuals is pretty countless. The enduring impact of Matt Barber's competitive drive, of Tori Raby's no-nonsense advice, of Scott Vermillion's hard work, and of Bruce Wassom's servant leadership will live on for many generations in the Highland Cavalier family. I'm personally grateful for Coach Wassom and Coach Raby and their mentorship in my life and my career, and I know many, many other former Cavs are as well. And to be sure, Coach, we will never strike out looking. Congratulations to Matt, Tori, Bruce, and Scotty. Let's give them a big round of applause. And with that, I'm going to turn the program over to Chancellor Henry for some opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day for homecoming and Hall of Fame induction. I'm looking forward to spending time with each of you today, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's my sincere pleasure to be here and to welcome and honor the 2024 new inductees into the Athletic Hall of Fame: Matt Barber, Tori Raby, Scott Vermillion, and Bruce Wassom. And I'm so delighted to see all of our guests, alumni, donors, and friends. As many of you know, our athletics program is one we all need to be so proud of. At UVA Wise, our student athletes comprise more than 25% of our student body. We have about 370 student athletes join us each year. Our student athletes are great champions and advocates for our college. They spread Cavalier pride at home, at school, in state, and out of state at competitions. They're great ambassadors for our college and for our region. Our student athletes' efforts are paying off in ways that they may not know or fully appreciate until they graduate and move on in their lives. Due to their experience in collegiate athletics, they have already practiced important values, and they've exercised important skills that will serve them so well in their lifetimes. They understand perseverance, time management, teamwork, and communication. They have a never-give-up attitude, and they understand that winning feels great. Losing, on the other hand, might not, but they appreciate how wins and losses help one grow and improve. This mindset will prepare them for what they do now and in the future. Our student athletes remain committed to their academic growth at UVA Wise. In this past academic year, we had 124 student athletes on the Dean's List. In the fall and in spring, we had 140 student athletes receiving the Dean's List honors. And the overall student athlete GPA for last year was 3.17. 140, that's great, yes. And I promise you, the faculty don't go easy on them just because they're student athletes. So that's a well-earned GPA. We had 147 student athletes earning the South Atlantic Conference Commissioner's Honor Roll, which means they had a 3.3 GPA, and 68 were honored with the D2 ADA Academic Achievement Award, which recognizes juniors and seniors with a 3.5 GPA or higher. UVA Wise and our athletic department is so committed to community engagement, and our Kids Day, say that again, Kids Day men's basketball game, where we invite middle school students in to see our men play basketball. That game placed third overall in the National Engagement Day as measured by the NCAA Division II, and so they received the Award of Excellence. Our student athletes set high standards for themselves in the areas of teamwork, continuous self-improvement, and determination. Last year, our UVA Wise athletes either broke or tied 10 school records and 3 SAC records. The new school record times were set in men's and women's cross country. New low individual and team scores were set in men's golf. Career home run and save records were broken in baseball. And the single game scoring school record and the all-time SAC assist records were broken by Caitlin Ross in women's basketball. 9 student athletes were also recognized as all South Atlantic Conference performers, including the men's tennis freshman of the year. So go Cavs, go. These many successes would not be possible without the strong foundation built by the exemplary services and athletic prowess of those who came before. And that's why we're here today. We're so proud to honor the inductees who have made enormous contributions to this college and in their time here have excelled in so many aspects of our college's life. In just a few minutes, we will induct our newest members into the UVA Wise Athletic Hall of Fame. Their names will be placed on the Athletic Hall of Fame display, which is located in the upper concourse here in the Convocation Center. Before we move on with our program, though, I would like to recognize our past honorees who are with us today. Would each of you who are in the Athletic Hall of Fame from previous years please stand and be recognized? It's so wonderful to see you all, and thank you for coming back. Now, I will turn the program over to our athletic director, Kendall Rainey. Okay, Kendall.
So we will get started with our first induction of Matt Barber. If everyone will turn their attention to the screen, we will begin with Matt Barber, football.
Matt Barber, football. Barber was a standout wide receiver for the Highland Cavalier football team from 2006 to 2009, where he was coached by fellow inductee Bruce Wassam. The Lynchburg native had 213 pass receptions for 3,333 yards and also scored 20 touchdowns, 19 off of pass receptions. Barber is still the school leader in total receptions and total receiving yards. He also ranks second in career receptions a game with 4.84, and he is fifth in all-purpose yards with 3,444. He was a four-time All-Mid-South Conference first-team East Team player during his career. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Barber.
It's your turn.
How y'all doing? Man, this is nice. I'm gonna keep it short, I guess. I kind of wrote something down, but I'm gonna wing it. It started, man, 14 years ago. This guy right here gave me a chance and invited me to come play football here at UVA Wise, and one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Since I started here, I've been welcomed with open arms, not only from coaches, students, players, athletes, but staff as well, professors. I think we all in this room agree that it's a special place. And it holds dear in my heart, and I'm sure it holds dear in you guys' heart as well. Football. I got to give this award to my teammates. I mean, without them, I would have never got this. I mean, this is all the coaches, all the hard work, 3 days. That's illegal, by the way, now. Yeah, so 3 days. I always got a saying that this place out here is the hottest, coldest place on earth. It could be 103 degrees or it could be -5. You never know. I believe one game it actually snowed, hailed, rained, and it was sunshine all in one game. And we kept playing. I mean, a lot of great memories, man. It's great to come back and see the campus, to see what this place has become. And, I mean, it'll always be special to me. And, yeah, thank you guys so much. It means a lot.
I asked some former friends and teammates of Matt, what word would you use to describe Matt? And they said, humble. And I think he just proved that to us with those remarks. If we will turn our attention to the screen for our next inductee, Tori Raby, softball coach.
Tori Raby, softball. Coach Raby led the softball team from 2004 to 2011 and now joins 5 of her former players, Brittany Lawson, Shelley Newton, Kendall Rainey, Maddie Ridnour, and Lauren Sneed in the UVA Wise Hall of Fame. During her tenure as coach, she won 202 games, won the Appalachian Athletic Conference 5 times, won the NAIA Region 12 Championship twice, and made 3 appearances in the NAIA National Tournament. She coached All-American Maddie Ridnour, had 21 players named All-AAC and All-MSC, and was named the Region 12 Coach of the Year in 2007. Academically, she had 2 student athletes, Brittany Lawson and Sarah Frazier, named both to the Daktronics NAIA Scholar Athletes and Daktronics NAIA Academic All-Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, Tori Raby.
I've been fortunate enough that I've gotten to be on that side for the past few years, getting to be a part of some of my former players going in, and I enjoyed that side way more. I would like to say, Matt Barber, the years of football at that time, it was so much fun to watch those teams, and definitely well-deserved. Coming back to Wise is like coming home. I was here for 7 years, but they were some of the most special times of my life. I'm going to try not to get emotional. The life of a coach is not easy. It's a lot of sacrifices. It's 24/7 being on call. It's serving as a recruiter, especially at a small school. You may be trainer for the day. You may have to do your stats for the day. I think a lot of that's come a long way now, but it's the way it was. And at some point, you eventually got to coach. The coaching was the easy part. It was the managing the personalities, the getting the most out of what you had. Being at a small school, we had very limited resources, but we found a way. With that said, it was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life, and I cannot imagine where I would be without it. So when I first came to the college to interview, I got to meet with the hiring committee, which actually Kendall Rainey was a part of that. Bruce Watson was on it. I believe Dr. Costa may have been. I can't remember for sure. And Hank Banner. And so I met that day with them, did the tour, and then I sat down and had a wonderful conversation with Director of Athletics, Ray Spinella. And we discussed many things, the college, where the vision was, the program, where it was at, and where it needed to go. The last thing he said to me before I left that day, and this stuck with me, and we even reminisced about it yesterday, but it has to be a part of the speech. He said, "I don't care if you go 0-44, as long as you turn this program around." And I kind of looked at him for a second. I looked back. I said, "If I go 0-44, you don't have to worry about me, because I won't be back." Because I ultimately wasn't the fit for the job. Coming here, that started our relationship, and I could not have asked for a better mentor, leader, and advocate for not just our athletes, our students, and our coaches. The impact that Ray has made on my life, as well as many others, and continues to make with his willingness to do outreach. You know, a big thing with him, and one of the pictures, and I cannot believe it was in there, was we went and did a community service project picking grapes at a local winery. And that was completely entertaining with some of the stories for that. But that was the things that Ray really pushed and promoted and wanted out of not just our coaches, but our athletes, that service. And that always was a huge part of what I took away from here. You know, NAIA, it's different. And the biggest proponent of the NAIA was the champions of character. And that was really high on the priority list. So thank you, Ray, for everything you've done for me and continue to be a part of my life. So on my second trip, after I got the job, Ray had introduced me to Chuck Banner. And Chuck Banner he worked here, and he had been a former player of Ray's and had all kinds of Ray stories if you ever want those. But Chuck had a daughter that played softball, and he was interested in coaching. So we talked, seemed like a good fit, but there was one stipulation. I had to work with his 10-year-old daughter, who was a pitcher, and he would help me. That was our agreement. So I'm on board. It's hard to find help. So that ended up being a great addition. I couldn't have asked for better support when I started than Chuck. I was always picky about the influences I had around my teams. And he was a great addition. I could not have asked for better help. And with that said, thank you, Chuck, for being my support, and thank you for becoming my family. And with that, as well is thank you to Paula, his wife. She and his kids, his two daughters, made sacrifices of the time with their father to spend with our team. And that was a team that needed that. And Chuck was always wonderful. He treated the kids just like his own. So thank you, Chuck. So then my next assistant was Shelley Newton. So Shelley got to come over from the playing side. And she was a wonderful wealth of knowledge. It was wonderful to have her to be able to go on the road and do recruiting for me because, to be honest, she was probably pickier on talent than I was. And I knew whoever she brought back would be somebody that we should definitely move forward with. Shelley as a player was that one that always challenged the coach. And I think on the other side, she got to see a different side of that, but it was players like her that made me a better coach. So thank you, Shelley. Moving across campus, it was not just, as far as my assistants, the support we had among our department, it was like family. I've coached at other places, and it was never the same experience. We had a great, let me think of my words, a great relationship with Hank Banner. And from what he told me last year at this, I think he was a big role in why I got the position, because it's so critical that softball and baseball be able to work together because we have to share facilities. You share growing pains, equipment, things like that. And he was always great to help me out and jump in. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't be here without him. So thank you, Hank, for that opportunity. And I'll also say a thank you to Coach Wassam. With what he has been to this college, when I look at Bruce Wassam, I seriously think UVA-wise. He has sacrificed so much of his life, so much of his time, and has loved it. And it shows. And I am so honored to be going into this class with him. Thank you, Coach. And I got one other person that I want to thank that was in a big support, and I'm so excited that he came, and that's Norman Mullins. Norm was our bus driver. And Norm was, I can't even tell you, he was family. Some of my best memories and favorite stories come off of our bus rides. Whether that was breaking down, having a random electrical fire, Norm was always to the rescue. And he was so good. These girls never know what Norm was for them because after some of the games, some of those losses on the road, and we stop and eat, he was my counselor, and he helped y'all stay out of trouble. So thank you, Norm, for being a part of us. So when I look back, the success of our program really started in that first year. And there are so many things that had they gone a different way, it would have changed the course of where I think UVA-wise softball would be. And that's not because of me. It was because of the young ladies I was fortunate enough to get to coach. So in 2005 team, like you said, go 0-44, it's fine, just turn it around. Well, when I got here, the first thing we did, we sat down with the team and we established what are our team goals for the year? What do we want to accomplish? The team came up with mainly two. And the first one was win the conference. Okay, no big deal, they did that the year before. And two, to advance to region. Well, no big deal, they did that before. So I stopped and I looked at them and I said, why don't we win region? Why don't we go to nationals? I've never experienced it. They were quiet, and they just kind of looked at me. It was like I never even thought about that. It had never really been a goal. It had never been something they thought they could do. So that became our goal for that year. And we had our share of struggles, but that team bought in. I've never had a team buy in like that, and there were a lot of contributing factors, but ultimately they did. And it started probably in our home opener. So when you go out and you look at these wonderful facilities, when they have improved so much. I walked on that turf yesterday, and it's amazing. But our field was wonderful too. Don't get me wrong, from where it had been. So poor April, she was the last year of playing on the old If you've never been to the very top of campus and driven out, there's a small little field up there, and that's where it used to be. When I played, that's where we played. Anyway, and our Ray Spinella and Gary Juhan were the two that actually built that field, so, you know, it was great for what it was, but we've come a long way. So that first year on that brand new field, which was so nice, we actually played Bluefield College. We were expected to beat them. First game, we lose it 2-3 on our new field with the new coach. No pressure there. You know, my goal was to come in and just literally prove what I could do. And we lose the first game to a team that we should have beat. But I made a bad coaching decision. This is why this story is important. I made a poor coaching decision. I gambled. It didn't work out. We lost. So after the game, before our second game, we talked. And the girls, I think they were terrified that I was going to chew them out after that. But I didn't. Instead, I looked around. I said, we had our opportunities, but ultimately, that loss is on me. I cost us. I made the choice. I gambled. I made a mistake. It was on me. That was the turning point of our season. That was taking accountability for a mistake, which is a life lesson. And those girls didn't expect that. They expected me to blame them. They expected me to give them a hard time, but that wasn't what they needed, and it wasn't what it was. So I own that mistake as a coach, and I made many mistakes. We all do. That's part of life. But that team rebounded. We won the next game 9-1 in 5 innings. And we had our ups and downs that year, but we ended up beating a Tennessee Wesleyan team that was by far the best team they had ever had. The coach who I played for years later told me, he's like, that loss stuck with me. He said, that was the worst loss of my career. And I knew it did. But we made it to nationals. Kendall actually graduated at nationals because she missed her graduation, but that was special. And that team of 2005 was probably one of the most special teams to me. Like I said, we had our rocky start, we had our ups and downs, but I've never seen a group of young ladies that believed. They were probably the least talented team I had here, but by far the most overachieving team, and that's special. So with that said, it has been a true honor to be here, to be a part of this class, and to be a part of this institution. I'm truly blessed. But my biggest thank you and my last thank you goes to every player that I coached. Thank you for investing in me. Thank you for being open to the opportunity of coming here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life. Because those moments, it's not the wins and losses, but it was the memories and the getting to still be a part of your lives and make an impact. And I want to say thank you for all those that showed up for me today. So, my former players, please stand up. I would not be here today, and this program would not be where it is without each of you. Thank you.
Many of us would not be where we are today without Coach Raby. And if we need additional proof, just check the social media when this announcement went out, because every player that's not here had incredible things to say about the impact she had on their life. I'm grateful that she showed up here in 2005, and for Coach Banner and Coach Wassam and Coach Tom Costa and everybody else who brought her here, we all are grateful for that, so thank you. With that, we'll turn our attention to the board for Scotty Vermillion, men's basketball.
Scott Vermillion, basketball. Vermillion was a standout on the Highland Cavalier basketball team from 1993 to 1997. During that period, the Gate City native scored 1,215 points and pulled down 848 rebounds. He was an honorable mention All-American, was named All-Tennessee-Virginia Athletic Conference member twice in 1995-96 season and the 96-97 season. The team won 61 games and made 2 appearances in the Tennessee-Virginia Athletic Conference tournament under Coach Preston Mitchell and Coach Lee Clark, while Vermillion was a player. Following his time in Wise, Vermillion went into high school coaching. He spent 5 seasons at Twin Springs before returning home to Gate City, where he coached for 18 seasons until stepping down from coaching in 2021. He compiled 460 wins in over 23 seasons, finishing as state runner-up 4 times in 2007, 2008, 2013, and 2020, and won the state championship in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Vermillion.
Obviously, I'm not Scott Vermillion. Yesterday afternoon, I got a phone call from Scotty. I'd seen him at his church a couple months ago, and he told me about October the 12th, and I told him I'd make every effort to be here. But he called me to tell me that he wasn't going to be here, that his daughter Sophie was having induced labor this morning at 5:30 in the morning, and welcomed their grandson Eli, who was here. So I was honored that he asked me if I would accept the award and to say a few things in his honor, in his presence. I said I'd be glad to, and I said, why don't you send me something, which he did, that I can read that are actually his words rather than mine. I will say, too, that to echo Coach Raby's words about Bruce Wassum, just very briefly. Bruce Wassum, for the 35 years that I've been associated in one form or another with this college, he is the face of this college. And I say that not just as an athletic program, but he is everywhere. And I'm sure that's probably going to be said, but he is the face of Clinch Valley College, UVA wise. A couple words about Scotty until I get to his actual words is that I was in my second year of coaching men's basketball, and we had to bring in some players, so we had some money. We brought in Mario Walker, who I think is the most underrated player in our history basketball. Mario's a 1,000-point scorer, graduated with a degree in psychology. We brought in Jimmy Porter, who played 4 years, and we brought in Jeff Lester, who was a history major, probably the smartest of all, of course. And we brought in Robert Spears, who was 6'10" from East Tennessee State University, that made a big difference. And that team won 21 games. And Scotty and Mario, by the way, won 61 games in their career, which is still the high water mark for men's basketball during a 4-year period. But I had a little bit of money left, and I wanted to bring in one more player, and didn't know who to bring in. I ran into Sandy Blackwell, who was Scotty's coach at Gate City High School at the state basketball tournament. I knew he had like 3 or 4 post players who were all about the same, 6'2", 6'3", and I said, which one of those players do you think might fit in? He said, Scotty Vermillion is the finest young man that I've ever coached. And Sandy coached for like 30 years under John Vickers and then on his own. And so that was good enough for me. And we brought in Scotty, and what they talked about, what he did as a player is pretty remarkable. But also what he has become, or did become as a high school coach. I think he is the gold standard. In the 50 years I've been in Southwest Virginia, he is the gold standard for boys basketball and all what he has accomplished. So I'm very proud to stand here and to accept the honor on his behalf. And this is what Scotty sent to me last night. I'm extremely grateful for the time and energy that was invested in me by my coaches and athletic department staff, especially Coach Mitchell, who believed in me enough to let me be a part of his team. Every accomplishment I've ever achieved was a product of other people's sacrifices and investments. My only goal was to honor those people. My mom and dad, my coaches, my wife, my teammates, and the Lord Jesus Christ. The most important part of me are the people who love me and whom I love in return. Clinch Valley became my second home, a place where my wife, Leanne, and I planted our roots in fertile soil. As for the basketball accomplishments, the only thing I did was show up, work, believe, and play the game I love with my brothers. Wise is a special place with special people, and I am honored to have been a small part of the rich heritage of UVA Wise. This was the place where I learned how to commit to and believe in something bigger than myself, how to build a team, push through tough times, and stick to a plan. I am grateful to be selected to the Hall of Fame today.
And finally, our last inductee was Bruce Wassum, head coach football.
Bruce Wassum, football. Coach Wassum spent 2 decades on the football sidelines at Clinch Valley College and the University of Virginia's College at Wise, and is still here today as an instructor in physical education. He was here when the football program started in 1991, spending 11 seasons as an assistant coach before taking over the head coaching position from 2002 to 2010. The Cavs joined a conference for the first time under Wassum as they joined the Mid-South Conference in his first season. He won 46 games, with his best season being in 2007 when the Cavs went 9-2 overall and 4-1 in conference play, and narrowly missed out on the program's third trip to the NAIA playoffs. As head coach, he had 6 All-Americans, and 64 of his players were named All Mid-South Conference, including 2 Offensive Players of the Year. His teams also did well academically, as he had 22 All Mid-South Conference academic student athletes and 6 Daktronics All-American Scholar athletes. Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Wassum.
First, I've got to start and make one correction that was said about Matt Barber. I never coached Matt. I just told him go out there and play. And two other comments. If you looked at the shots of Matt, he was always surrounded by other players because he didn't care to go in the middle and catch the ball where all those linebackers were waiting to hit him. And he was also smart enough to give a brief speech because he knew how long I'd talk. Right. An honor like this can easily go to one's head, but as soon as I looked at the others in this class, I thought, I'm only the third best coach going into the Hall of Fame this year. And I mentioned that to Chris Davis. And Chris said, well, did you know that Barbara's coaching girls softball? And knowing the quality of person that Matt is and the type of intensity and teaching that he would do, I'm the fourth best coach going in this year. When I got here in the spring of '91 to join Coach Ramsire in starting the football program, one of the things I noticed was the fact that at the Lonesome Pine District of High School Athletics didn't name a coach of the year in any sport. They named the coaching staff of the year. And that's something that seems appropriate now and here today, because whatever I've accomplished to get this recognition was truly due to so many players, large and small, highly skilled or not, speedy or slow, but all committed to Highland Cavs football. Also to all the student trainers and equipment managers working always in the background, but so important. In particular, I have to thank Robbie Bates and Kendra Potter, who served as trainers for football during my tenure, and Elijah Helton, who's now the principal at Central High School, and Cindy Smoot, who were the head equipment managers for me during my time and saved me a lot of time by doing all the things that needed to be done. Paul Kilgore took care of our housekeeping issues at the field house, as well as ministering to the team's spiritual needs, with his weekly Thursday evening prayer group open to any and all who wish to participate. And the coaching staff, there's so many. Darius Branham, who was technically picked by Bill as an assistant coach before I got the job here. John Cusco, who joined us, the staff, as soon as he chose to quit coaching at J.I. Burton. Jim Dodson, who joined the staff early in the program. And Wayne Leftwich, who we lost a few years ago, who joined us, all local coaches who really made a difference. And of course, there was Randy Ramsire, who was already here in Southwest Virginia after Vanderbilt Law School, serving as a clerk for the Federal Circuit Court. Thankfully, he read the Clinch Valley College was going to start football and called his dad and suggested he look into the situation. The suggestion worked out unimaginably well. After coaching with Bill for 17 years, his ever-present optimism led him to think that there was still a possibility that I could eventually get things right. And he asked me to join him here at Clinch Valley College. Getting back to Randy, who gave up his vacation every summer to help coach during football camp for 20 years, as well as being here any weekdays he could work into his legal schedule, and arranging all of the travel and housing details for every away game, and being there to use his tremendous football knowledge, insights, and observations to keep us up on situations and strategic suggestions. I need to thank all of those coaches. I also have to thank Bob Collier, who we lost almost 4 years ago. What a loyal alum of the college and a great friend of the football program. He was our morale coach, there at every practice, traveling with us to road games. He was always positive, and one person all of the players will remember. He knew them all and was always there, propping them up, encouraging them, keeping in touch with many after they graduated. and a great friend and counsel to me, who will always be a first thought when I think of Wise and Cavs football. 3 assistants for me throughout most of the time when I was head coach, Dewey Lusk, Denny Compton, and Sean Austin, are all still coaching in the game and influencing young men today. The greatest memories of my time here begin from the first days here in Wise. The immediate acceptance and camaraderie of the athletic department, just like Tori commented on. Carol Dale and Ray Spinella, whose supports as athletic directors and friends was so important and appreciated. Friendships with Hank Banner, Danny Rowland, Preston Mitchell, Lee Clark, Rachel Clay Cohen, Tori Raby Gentry, John South, Jim Stewart, Patsy McReynolds, who we lost much too young, and of course the stalwarts, Patty Bevins and Shirley Wolf. The last 3 kept the department functioning while we coaches fumbled around. The admissions office of Lana Lowe, Billie Jean McCullum, Rusty Necessary, Courtney Brummett Kilgore, and George Bergen, who that first spring spent countless hours giving prospective football players and families tours of the campus and evenings making calls to help us create a team in only 6 months. Even the faculty, with their varied degrees of skepticism, kept an open mind, which allowed us to win them over to the reality that we only intended football to be a quality representative of the college and a part of the young people's experience as they earned a college degree. It was a great day when one of our longtime faculty, who was well respected, stopped me on campus to say, when football came to campus, I wasn't at all excited, but I've got to tell you, it's been good for the campus. You've brought students from all over the Commonwealth and beyond, which has widened and varied the college culture, and they've been good students who are interested in learning, thanks to Bill and you. There were those special faculty who gave extra in coming to support the players by helping to serve them the late-night snacks before bed checks during summer camp each year. Dick and Phyllis Davidson, Roy and Ruth Wells, Wayne and Brenda Edwards, Cindy Newland, and alum Thurston Rose. And there was the longtime faculty athletic rep and supporter Tom Costa, along with a friend and true athletic supporter and librarian Robin Vinke. I must give a nod and a thank you to the people of Wise and Norton in the far southwest Virginia. They immediately accepted the idea of a Highland Cavalier football team and deeply surrounded the field at J.J. Kelly for the debut game and Chancellor Jim Knight announcing college football has come to Southwest Virginia. And of course there was Miss Richmond in her late 80s, driving up to the practice field to speak to the team and sitting through so many games, including the bitterly cold snowstorm game, which qualified us for the first national playoffs. And Judge Roberson, who arranged his court schedule so he could be able to be out to watch practices in the afternoon. I coached at Wilmington for 17 years without most people in town really knowing who I was. I was here 1 week and had my picture on the front page of the Coalfield as the new defensive coordinator. Those first years there was so much to do, it was hard to find any time to take care of personal needs. Thank goodness for Ingles Grocery Store, which was open 24 hours, because Saturday night after the game, home or away was my only time to shop for food. I still remember getting home from an away game the second or third year, and I was walking through an aisle at Ingles at about 3 a.m. and being stopped by a gentleman who I had no recollection of ever meeting, but who said, "I listened on the radio, and what a great game your team played today." I owe so much to Bill and Mary Ramshire. I got to know them when Bill came to my high school as a football coach for my last 2 years. They were 2 great years, each coming within 1 game of being champions, after no previous team at our school ever having a winning season. Of course, once he got me off the squad, they went undefeated. Then he was the defensive coordinator at Bluffton College my last 2 years. Then after my coaching high school for 6 years, he asked me to come as an assistant at Wilmington College when I had never imagined, let alone seriously considered, coaching in college. After 17 years there, seeing his 2 daughters go to college, marry, and coaching Randy as a key linebacker on my defensive units, and see him marry and finish law school, Bill asked me to join him here at Wise to build a new program. 28 years of coaching together, I sort of became an unofficial member of the Ramsire family, either as a very distant cousin 10 times removed, or as the honorary black sheep that every family has to have. I owe so much to both Bill and Mary because, as the players can all tell you, you always had to think of them as a unit. Last, and I know you think it's never going to stop, but certainly not least, I have to talk about my family. My father and mother encouraged me to do well in sports, but never at the neglect of academic achievement and full participation in all aspects of high school life, such as it was at a small country school. My dad, who missed most of my college games while he worked 6 days a week, got to see me graduate from college and coach a game or two of high school football before his death. My mom was always there, driving my 2 sisters down and back to Bluffton for Saturday home games. And when I coached in college, she and my sisters were at so many of our football games, home and away, as well as weekend baseball doubleheaders when I was coaching that sport. Only after my last season of coaching did she allow the heart issues from which she'd been given 6 months to live to take her 15 years after that diagnosis. And then there are my 2 sisters, Gail and Dottie, who of course are here today. They were included in those game trips to Bluffton to watch me play. I'm sure they were excited about it. As well as came down to Wise for each summer camp to help feed the team late night snacks each evening before we coaches did bed check, and to try and organize my messy house. Family was the theme of our football program. Some of it was bloodlines, but via emotional ties for all associated. Thank you again for this great honor, and to those who all contributed to my career. As the guys who played for me can tell you, I was at times a very bright coach, as long as the sun was shining and I took my hat off. And as I heard an acquaintance of mine who covers the Bengals and Reds on Cincinnati radio say recently, after he received a similar Hall of Fame honor, there's only one letter difference between inducted and indicted. So with that perspective, it's easy to remain humble in considering this honor. But thank you all, everyone. See if I can, without fumbling it. Thank you very much.
Well, you work with someone for almost 12 years, as I have with Coach Wassam, and the stories are just incredible. I'm so pleased to know them now, so thank you, Coach. In closing, our athletic and academic successes would not be possible without the strong foundation built by exemplary services, academic excellence, and athletic prowess of those who came before, and that's why we're here today. We're so proud to honor our past and current inductees and all who have made enormous contributions to our college. UVA-Y's success in the classroom and on the athletic field are not possible without all of the people who advocate for our college and pour their resources, time, energy, and passion into UVA Wise. We sincerely appreciate all that you do, and I want to invite each of you to join us at the Alumni Association picnic that begins at 11 o'clock under the tent in the parking lot just above the Convocation Center. So thank you all for joining us today. Would the inductees please come up to the stage? I think we're going to take some group photos. If you want to get some family photos, friend photos, colleague photos, all of that is possible. So enjoy the day, and I look forward to visiting with everyone.